a go. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I am going to hand this off to Amy and Kevin, and they're going to go through some long-term care stuff. So Amy, why don't you take it away?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Certainly appreciate it as always. I've got Kevin Fisher here with us. He is with One America. He's been doing this for a lot longer than I have, so he's got a lot of great expertise and intel. He's going to give us some great examples on how to do things. So without further ado, Kevin, welcome here to everyone, and I will make you, and then you should be screen. There we go. Perfect.
There we go. We're on fire. Well, hey, thanks everyone for joining. I got a pretty simple agenda that we're going to go through, and we at One America have a lot of stuff to talk about. We're not even going to scratch the surface today. We're going to pretty much focus on some of the top opportunities that we've seen over the last 6 to 9 months, specifically during this whole COVID series. If you have any questions, please feel free, let me know. I'd rather have a conversation than a talk, but hey, whatever, we can accommodate literally anything. I'm the regional sales director with One America. I've been here, this is my 9th year. I started in the industry when I actually had hair. I'm now been here long enough to have no hair. So, you know, what you see is what you get. I've been working in the asset-based arena for almost 2 decades now, not just with One America, but with one of our other peers who has equal duration in the market, which is 30 years. Just a little bit to backtrack, asset-based long-term care as a strategy is a 30-year-old strategy, where originally it was leveraging life insurance and adding extended benefits to create tax-free long-term care dollars. 2 carriers have that legacy, we at One America and my former company, who was the 16th president. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today is a couple of opportunities with us that are unique to us and provide some really good discussion points. Now, let me share this with you. I'm here to show you a few niche plays and where you can identify the best opportunity for these solutions. So we're going to first lead off with annuities. And it's an important thing to remember that annuities are also a vital part of our planning cycle and portfolio. As you can see here, this is the basic design for the Care Solutions portfolio, which is comprised of both asset care and annuity care. Asset care sits on a life insurance chassis. That's a participating whole life chassis. At this point in time, we're non-dividend paying, but it is a par policy. Will endow at age 117. Annuity care, we have a few flavors inside of there, including a fixed indexed as well as traditional fixed annuities. Remember, regardless of the strategy, we're talking about an asset-based product, which means they're truly a linked product. We have our base plus our continuation of benefit rider. In most cases, with the exception of one, that continuation of benefit rider is optional. That one case is a product I'm going to show you in a little bit, but it gives you some serious leverage, and it's a great conversation piece when you're just talking about moving tax deferred to tax-free long-term care dollars. Now, one thing I want you to note is at the bottom here, you see funding options for both the base and the continuation of benefit rider. One thing I want you to remember, if you can pay it, we can find a way to apply it to a premium. So it can be single pay out of cash or a 1035 exchange from a life policy or a non-qualified deferred annuity. We can do a single pay from IRA rollover. We can do recurring premiums, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, pay to infinity. And in some cases, depending on how we want to structure things, we can do a single premium plus ongoing premiums. So there's a lot that we can do. The second thing I want to point out here is we at One America are unique in our space. What makes us unique is one thing, that we can offer a continuation of benefit rider that isn't simply 2 or 3 times the base benefit pool. So we don't turn $100,000 into a pool of $400,000. We can do that, but we can also turn it into an unlimited lifetime pool. There's only one carrier in the asset-based arena that offers unlimited lifetime benefits, and that's One America. Second thing I want to point out, we are the only carrier that offers a true joint lifetime long-term care solution that can be extended for life. We're the only carrier that has a true joint solution. That's important to remember. And from an industry perspective, I want to point out the value of an asset-based product when you're not funding via single premium. The value of a recurring premium is that the premiums are guaranteed. In one way, shape, or form, you're going to get a benefit, but the biggest benefit is you know that you have zero premium risk in the equation. Maybe a little more of a cost initially than a traditional product, but you're getting the peace of mind knowing that never can we increase our premium. Our products are non-can. It's not guaranteed renewable. It's non-cancelable, meaning guaranteed everything. So it's an important element in the planning process. So let's jump off and we'll jump into the annuity conversation. We're going to talk about moving tax-deferred accumulation into tax-free long-term care using annuity care. Annuity care has three different flavors: Annuity Care 1, Annuity Care 2, and Indexed Annuity Care. Some may be available one variation may not be available in, say, Connecticut. Connecticut's only indexed annuity care. New Jersey is Annuity Care 1 and Indexed Annuity Care, no Annuity Care 2. So check your jurisdiction for the rules as it relates to what product is available when. The most important thing here to remember is in the annuity arena, our ideal client is between 70 and the age of 85. You heard it right, up to age 85. Here's why I think this is important for you to consider. One, any client that's 70 or older, generally sitting on an annuity, if they haven't touched it for income, they're probably not going to touch it for income. And it's going to be earmarked for distribution. Distribution being from an emergency perspective. Why not move that from a taxable distribution, especially if it's for a long-term care event, move that into a tax-free distribution simply with a 1035 exchange. We can wash those gains away when those proceeds are used for long-term care simply by implying for the proper product. And that's a PPA eligible, HIPAA approved deferred annuity. You know, another scenario is maybe you have a client who was declined for a traditional product, or maybe even an asset care style product. Annuity care is a little more generous and forgiving on the underwriting side, so we may have a solution there. But in every case, an annuity solution is ideally targeted for that non-qualified money. If we're talking about qualified money, that conversation will come in a few minutes. So here's how the Pension Protection Act makes this all possible. Let's say we have an existing non-qualified deferred annuity, 150,000 of value, 50 of its basis, 100 of its gain. You've seen this a billion times. Here's something I want you to remember. When you get clients over the age of 70, especially when they start pressing 80, those suitability standards are really starting to clamp down and saying, hey, you can't just run for a return. Well, here we're not running for a return. We're actually making a move and creating value. We're not trying to get a higher return. We're trying to protect all those returns from the last 20, 25 years on those deferred annuities that have grown over time. So if we were to have this scenario play out, any distribution, regardless of being income or for qualified money, if it stays in a traditional deferred annuity, be it a VA, a fixed index, or a fixed annuity, that gain is going to be taxed. One way or another, you got to pay taxes. What that do? Obviously, you pay taxes. It may bump you into another tax bracket. It may impact your Social Security, whether or not that's taxable. And in all likelihood, if you move into another bracket, it's also going to impact, most importantly, your Medicare. Not so much the benefits, but the premiums. By moving that money, that non-qualified money from your left pocket into a PPA product like annuity care, we can make those distributions become tax-free. We've been able to do this for, 11 years. It's still a secret, but it's something that's been available. So Think about this. Think about how many clients that you have, and think about how many of them own deferred annuities. And more importantly, ask that one question. What is the intent of this annuity since you're not using it for income? If it's for your emergency fund and it's for your emergency healthcare fund, this may be a better solution. We do a 1035 exchange into an annuity care solution. We create the opportunity for tax-free withdrawals for long-term care, and we continue to grow at a modest rate. Any other distributions? Well, they'll be treated just like any other annuity scenario. Here are our annuity care design options. We have our base policy and our continuation of benefit rider. Remember, with annuity care 1 and index annuity care, that continuation is optional. With annuity care 2, it's mandatory. In this scenario with annuity care 1, I want to keep something in mind. We're transforming those tax-deferred distributions. Those tax-deferred distributions will be done over a period of time. 36 months for annuity care, if it's an individual. For annuity care 2, it'll be 24 for an individual, and you can see the numbers on the screen. Options. It's all about options. You want a base-only scenario where we're washing away and getting the maximum distribution possible? Not a problem, we can do that. But if you add that continuation of benefit rider, we can turn that $150,000 into a pool of $300,000 or more. We can add inflation on top of that. We, of course, being an annuity chassis, will continue to credit that base portion. But more importantly, we can add a lifetime continuation of benefit rider and create an unlimited lifetime stream. So we can turn that $150,000 to maybe $1 million of distributions if they have a long-term care event that's Alzheimer's or dementia, something with a long tail, and we pull out $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year. I hope there's one thing on the screen that jumps out at you, and you'll see it here, and it says joint policy. With the annuity care solution, my annuity can provide our long-term care solution, can provide our funding. Both of us have to be insurable, we being my spouse and I. But once we're insured, my money provides our benefit. She would have to be my primary beneficiary in the event that I predecease her so that she could access the proceeds and keep everything tax-free. But it's a small consideration to make because, hey, you know what's mine is hers anyway. It's a great solution here when you think about it. And it's all about what asset-based long-term care is about, leverage. So here's annuity care 2. Annuity care 2, as I mentioned, isn't available in New Jersey, but everybody else, New Jersey and New York don't have it. Everybody else has it. So if you have a situation and you are in New Jersey, please pick up the phone, give us a shout. We'll find a solution. All we need to know is what we're working with and what we're trying to solve for. So here we'll cut to the chase. We have a 70-year-old individual. She has $150,000, traditional fixed annuity. Maybe it's even a fixed index. That exact scenario that I showed you, that $150,000 can generate $6,200 per month of tax-free long-term care benefits. If you want to look at it as a total pool of money, over here, that $150,000 turns into just shy of $400,000. That's a pretty decent piece of leverage right there. And remember, we can add her spouse onto that. Sure, it'll change the numbers a little bit and reduce the monthly benefit because it's a joint contract, but they can both receive benefit from that policy. But more importantly, they can both be receiving that $6,245 per month per person. We'll just go through it, and rather than 60 months, it'll be exhausted a lot more rapidly. Let's talk about underwriting for a minute. With annuity care, the underwriting with annuity care is never more than a phone interview. If we're not including the continuation of benefit rider, there won't be a phone interview. We'll just look at the application. And remember, we can work with people up to the age of 85. Inside of that, we have a couple of things you want to remember. If you're a little short for your weight, or maybe you have some comorbids, or maybe you're diabetic, type 1 or type 2. If your numbers are in reasonable order, there's no reason why you can't get approved. If things are all over the place, different animal. But annuity care is quite forgiving, and we can find solutions within the annuity care realm that we can't with traditional or other life insurance-based solutions. So this is it's always on the One America page, a backup plan for any solution that we look at. And remember, our target market, 70 plus. 70 plus. Sure, everybody can write the young guy, 55, 60, but 70 plus with this product is, man, that's right in the sweet spot. All right, here's Annuity Care 1. This is a simple leverage play, and here's something I want to point out to you. That $150,000 is transforming into $4,000 a month tax-free, year one, for an 84-year-old whose policy is issued today. Year over year, it'll grow slightly. It being the monthly benefit, along with the cash value. This is a base-only scenario here, but think about it. We move $150,000 in today. We start with a benefit pool that we know of, $4,400. In 5 years, we have $4,600 in change. This is all guaranteed. What you see is what you get. No surprises here. This is all guaranteed. It's a pure leverage play. And more importantly, you look at that client's age. Where else are you going to get an 84-year-old long-term care coverage? Nowhere. Good luck finding that other than One America. So think about your clients in that deep end of the pool. We got something for them and we have a solution. And typically when someone is 75 plus and they're worried about long-term care, their friend, family, or neighbor had just experienced it. And they're saying, sheesh, what the heck am I going to do if that happens to me? And more importantly, how am I going to pay for it? So someone talks to you at that age, you've got a very good opportunity for having a conversation. Now, whether or not we can underwrite them, different issue. They got to be fairly healthy. They don't have to be secretariat, but they can't be ready for the glue factory either. Let's talk about a product that's really come on fire, especially during the pandemic. We're going to move away from the annuities and onto asset care. This is our maximum liquidity return of premium product. This is actually something that's been around since the dawn of time with asset-based long-term care. Way back when, this is really the fundamental chassis for the Lincoln MoneyGuard product from 30 years ago. So here we're talking about a $150,000 drop-in. In this scenario, it's male, age 64, coming in via cash, or could be a 1035 exchange, doesn't really matter. The skinny on this thing is he wants maximum liquidity because you don't know what's going to happen. And maybe he's a business owner and he's concerned that he may have a liquidity issue. So he pours in the $150,000. Day one, $1, that's liquid and available. It buys a modest death benefit, as you can see here. We're not trying to get people really rich on the death benefit. We are trying to protect them on the long-term care side. So we're solving for a long-term care benefit. But here's where the only limitation from a plan product perspective comes into play. If your client wants maximum liquidity, this is the only design we can work with. 100 months of benefit. So we can produce $42.58 per month for up to 100 months of tax-free long-term care benefit. That's not too bad, but we have maximum liquidity. Another thing I want to point out to you here is we can also, if you desire, we can add inflation. It'll change the numbers a bit, but it doesn't really matter on a single pay as much as a recurring scenario. Let me point out a few numbers on the ledger. Here's your $150,000 coming in. Obviously, they didn't round up because, you know, we're under 51 cents. Go figure. We buy a death benefit. That death benefit here is starting high and it will reduce, and in year 9 it'll levelize, or is it year 10? Anyways, it'll levelize. It starts high in order to maintain that corridor so that we can maintain the definition of life insurance. This is Internal Revenue Code stuff we're dealing with to make sure that we comply with the code so that we can keep the benefits tax-free. Over time, we'll get down and we'll levelize that 212 of death benefit. Now, one thing I want to point out, this death benefit is the least that we will ever pay from this policy. So we drop in $150,000 and we're guaranteed we're going to get at least 212 back tax-free at some point in time. If we require more than that, say we pay out a long-term care claim, we certainly will pay out more than $212,000. You'll see the cash surrender value between year 15 and year 20 actually steps up. That's because the accumulation in the policy is hitting the corridor and it's just stepping it up. Simple works. What you see is what you get, full refund of premium. So in this scenario, if the client 30 years out wants to walk away, they'll walk away with $185,000 instead of the $150,000. Remember that step up is going to be a taxable gain, but who cares? It's their money. If they're going to leave at that age, more power to them. They'll be 94, and I hope they're buying a boat and going somewhere fun. All right, next thing, hot item to talk about, and this is always a good topic to start with, because so much money is sitting in qualified dollars. And we're going to talk about funding asset care using qualified money. Now, this isn't a unique scenario. Anyone can fund anything using qualified money. You're just taking a distribution and applying it into whatever policy you want, IRA Max. So simply, what we have at One America is a process, a canned process that automates the whole thing. And this is pretty valuable for you because we can make more out of the same dollar figure than being an IRA rollover than if you did it, if you self-regulated those dollars. So let me show you how it works. In this scenario, we have a couple. We're going to have a $282,000 IRA rollover. What this ultimately is going to do is create $10,000 of long-term care benefit per person with a maximum payout from the policy of $338,000 rounding up. Remember, I can do this strategy for either an individual or a joint contract. And remember, one of the calling cards for One America, we can do a joint contract. 2 people, 1 policy. Only at One America. That joint contract, they just have to be within 25 years of each other and both insurable. So let's see how this works. We're going to take our $282,000 IRA rollover. That IRA rollover, obviously tax-free, goes into One America. We pour that into a qualified deferred annuity. The day that it hits our deferred annuity, we add a 20% bonus to it. So in this scenario, we bonus 20% on that. We bonused $56,400. So right out of the gate, we have over $300,000 of money that we're working with in this pool to be used to fund our asset care strategy. Remember, it's an IRA rollover. Nothing's been distributed at this point in time. Policy is issued, first distribution takes place. This is where the automation comes in. From an income rider, we distribute $33,840. And over the 10 years, first 10 years of the policy, we move that money from a qualified deferred annuity via income rider to asset care. And what that does in this case, it buys our base policy plus an unlimited lifetime continuation of benefit rider. So we're taking his $282,000 and funding their joint long-term care policy that is providing $10,000 per person of unlimited lifetime benefit. That's pretty rich. One thing I want to point out here, that $33,000 distribution over 10 years, that is considered constructive receipt. So that amount would be our annual 1099 amount. Now remember, this is something cool. This lifetime benefit is considered long-term care. So that premium may be deductible up to the age-related table for that insured or that insured couple. So depending on where they fall and what the age-related table is, some of that may be deductible. Of course, they need to itemize and have expenses that hit the AGI limit, but it is an option. So let's take this a step further. Here's what we have from a illustration standpoint. You'll see we have the $282,000 here. Here's our annual premium of $18,000 funding the base policy and $15,000 funding the long-term care component. Remember, that $15,000 is what is considered a long-term care premium. Now, they won't be able to deduct the whole $15,000 because the age-related table doesn't, for their age, isn't that high. It's only a few $1,000s, $6,000, $8,000. One thing I want to point out, if they were both to require care simultaneously, they start exactly the same time. They can both receive $10,000 per person, but combined it's $20,000 per person. It's 10. As a couple, it's 20. It's not a shared care scenario, but it will last forever. The real impact of the policy is it gets you through the base component first, but since it's lifetime, who cares? We have an unlimited distribution of long-term care benefits. Remember, that bonus portion is guaranteed. No moving parts. What you see is what you get. This next part is going to spin your head a little bit, so I apologize in advance. Here you see the distribution stream, that $33,000. Remember, that's the taxable piece. That total cash surrender value is the value of the deferred annuity plus the cash surrender value of the life insurance policy. This total death benefit is the value of the annuity, present value of the annuity, plus the death benefit of the life insurance policy. And again, you'll see it slipping year by year as we reduce the dollar figure in the annuity. That amount available for death benefit also reduces because it's being paid in premium. Important thing to remember, if the clients die, and remember it's a joint contract, so it's a second to die policy. If they die in, say, year 5, that $459,000 in change is paid out as death benefit. 2 separate death benefits. The life insurance of $337,690 is tax-free. That difference of $120-something thousand, that would be an IRA death benefit. So not going to a spouse, going to a non-spouse would create a scenario where it could be a taxable event, would be a taxable event, and they being the beneficiary would have to take distributions at some point in time within the 10 years of receiving that. Standard rules for qualified money. The long and the short of this thing is, with asset care funded from qualified money using our process, it's set it, forget it, and it's totally managed. Yes, you can do this on your own. You can pop money into a single premium immediate annuity and fund it however you want. Or you can self-fund or self-funds, manage that fund, self-direct and manage those monies and fund it however you want. Absolutely. But this is a good starting point for that qualified money conversation because you know everything's right here and laid out in front of you. If you want to maximize your assets under management, let me tell you how to do this. Run this strategy. You self-direct those monies. And rather than doing a 10-pay, pay this bad boy until age 95. Now you have maximum assets under management, minimum premium funding for the longest duration of time, but you get the best of both worlds and you have total control. You have a question you want to talk about using qualified money? Give any of us a call. We can make sure that happens. Last thing I want to talk about is underwriting, specifically for asset care. With asset care, I want to really stress this. We don't just play in the table shave game, table 4 or better, it's either standard or preferred. Everybody can do that. we'll do that. But we also can table rate. We can go out 8 tables with asset care, something no one else is doing. On a morbidity and mortality basis, we can rate out 8 tables. Obviously, that means some of the people aren't the healthiest in the race. If that's the case, or even if you have a question, we got some tools to help you. One is our underwriting guide, but 2 is our pre-underwriting inquiry form. It's a 3-page informal health survey. Get as much information as you can. There are certain maladies on there that it's more oriented toward, where they have specific sections. They don't, if it's not applicable, you don't fill it in, you know, like cancer or something to that effect. But what we'll do is we get the information, we get it to the underwriter, and then within 24 hours, we get an answer back. Not just, is it a risk we'd be willing to consider, it's what product or product limitation may be involved in that case. When you use this in conjunction with the ineligible impairment list, which is really a 1-pager of both maladies, medications, and a build chart that you can work directly with your clients and say, hey, excuse me, Mrs. Client, do any of these maladies on this sheet apply to you? If the answer is yes, probably not a good idea for asset care. You may then want to pull out the ineligible impairment list for annuity care, which has fewer, and say, okay, since that was on this list, let's look at that solution and make that automatic pivot and go down that road, qualifying before you even get into the game. Long and the short of it is pre-underwriting lets you put the best foot forward, saves you time by avoiding putting you in a position where you may be working with a case that's DOA. If they're uninsurable, why do we want to spend 3 weeks trying to get something done when we can know right up front from a pre-underwriting inquiry perspective? There's a lot we can do on that. For a PUI, for the ineligible impairment list, for heck, even an underwriting guide, let anyone know. Let DMI know. You can get in touch with me. Anyway, we're here to help you. I gave you a ton of stuff. This is just a scratch on the surface. If you have questions, please feel free. A couple of things that, well, 3 things that I do offer. Please feel free to take advantage of that. Every Friday, I share a new sales idea. I do it via email, and I also post it out to fridayswithfisher.com. That's just my library of sales ideas. I've got 4 years worth of stuff there. There's a lot of stuff. Go for it. LTC Coffee Break, something I've been doing since the dawn of coronavirus. Coming up on our 1-year anniversary. I have almost 50 episodes now. I think we just released episode 48 or 49 yesterday. So every Tuesday is a new episode, 15 minutes or so. Again, something about One America. Could be a sales idea, could be information about a product, could be information about, you know, the company or something. You can also get every episode on demand at ltccoffeebreak.com. So that's something available to you. And we also are offering virtual consumer seminars. If you are uncomfortable in starting a conversation or continuing a conversation, or even want to use something to augment your conversation with a client as it relates to long-term care, we have a virtual consumer seminar every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. It requires a client to register. It also requires them to include your name, the producer, who invited them, so that I manage the whole database, so no one else sees it other than me. Got my hands on the whole thing, baby. But so that I can make sure that if they show up, that you're aware that they were there, so you can follow up and make sure that they don't have any questions. Or address their next question, which is, what do I do? Where do I go from here? Virtual consumer seminar every Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can get more information if you go to LTC Coffee Break and hit the virtual consumer seminar link there. And finally, most important, questions. Anything you can shoot to me here, email, voice, or text. All that I ask, if you text me, tell me who you are, because I don't want to know. I don't want to say something to someone
Right?
who I don't know. I may be off color, you know, not good. So for your safety, please identify yourself. I gave you a ton of stuff. Again, the tip of the iceberg. I talk fast. I know you may have questions. If you don't get to them today, not a problem. We can always get to them at your convenience. And with that, back to you, Amy.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Yes, the drink of water is probably much needed.
Was a
Well,
tough one.
everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Excuse me. Does anybody have any questions right now out of the gate that you'd like to ask? I know we gave you a lot, but the good news is Kevin is the best at what he does, and I want to get the best here for you guys.
You guys must have done a great job. I see no Q&A.
So I want to go off the ranch and take this in another direction if I can for 2 minutes. And this isn't a long-term care play, but this is purely a deferred annuity play. And this is a very specific ask that I have of you. Do you have a client that is 85, 90, 95 with a non-qualified deferred annuity that's wandering into that realm where they have to take the money or take the money? Take the money as a lump sum or take it as a series of periodic payments? If so, we at One America have a solution so that that does not have to happen and they can continue accumulating and kick the can on down the road. If you want information on that, please reach out to any one of us and we'll get the information. Actually, reach out to Jim and Amy. They'll call me and I'll get you the information. But the long and the short of this thing is it's a niche play, but every time I mention it, inevitably, out of 20 people, 2 or 3 of them say, oh man, I wish I had known that. And one of them says, I'm glad I know that because this is a non-underwritten thing. It's a 1035 play. And it's just kicking the can down the road so that we don't have to have a maturity scenario and have to take income when we don't want to. It's there for a reason. Now, Ted, you had asked a great question. Are the Tuesday consumer seminars at 7 p.m. Eastern time? That would be yes. I'm on the East Coast, so I just assume everyone is East Coast. My apologies, everything is East Coast time. So 7 p.m. East Coast time, 10 a.m. East Coast time. And one thing that I also want to say, if you want to have a customized version, since I make the thing, all you got to do is get in touch with me. I can help you customize it, and we can create a marketing campaign around it where you can market into your consumer base to promote your consumer seminar. We got a lot of tools here at One America, and we want to share them with you and hopefully create opportunities to solve some problems, address some issues, and do everything that we can. And Ted, you are welcome. Anything else? No, I'm done. Amy, it's yours.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you didn't get Kevin's information that's on the screen right now, you can always get a hold of me and I can get you to Kevin too. So the good news is we got you covered on both bases. So I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend or weekend coming up. It's Wednesday. What can I say? So, well, without further ado, we definitely appreciate your time, Kevin, and everyone else that was on the webinar today. And thank you guys all so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.